multiple days next turn. And then we'll pave the way for Mentor and Rector to take over the game. All right, so no shuffle, take Flooded Strand. Lightning Bolt me to put an instant in the yard. That's sweet. Morning. Yeah, we're totally fine paying for a days here and just taking the other days. We're okay with taking the 2-for-1. We have gotten the 2-for-1 that we were going to get anyway, and my opponent returned 2 of their lands. Stifle. Okay. That's totally fine. So my opponent has 1 unknown card. Lots of ways to play this turn. I think the simplest way is just jam the Mentor. Oop. So now basically my opponent needs to have drawn something sweet for turn. Ooh, Lightning Bolt the Mentor in response. They can now stifle my Monk trigger. I guess super punish for how I've tapped. But that's okay. As long as they don't draw a direct damage spell, I probably stabilize the game. Does Ugin gain life when it pluses? No. That's a different walker. All these cards are really good. I don't know that I'm going to want to shuffle away any of them. I think I'm going to put back Jace, Teferi, ponder. Yeah, this is absolutely great. Alright, so we're looking to dodge a direct damage spell like Ren and 6 or Lightning Bolt this turn. True name Nemesis? Hooting Mandrills? Hooting Mandrills. My opponent is now Hellbent. How do I want to do this? So I can Ugin minus, get rid of both of them, have an Ugin at 1 loyalty. That's not bad. Well, I know what these cards do, but I don't know their starting loyalties off the top of my head. So it's Lightning Bolt. No, I guess Lightning Bolt kills me anyway, so I don't really need to be concerned about Lightning Bolt. So the way that I gain life and get out of my current situation is by ultimating the Ugin. So I don't want to -6 the Ugin. So I think instead what I want to do is cast this, cast a Cabal Therapy. Yes, I will do that. I'm going to go ahead and get this. We'll name Abandoned Sarcophagus. We're going to Swords the Plowshare's Hooting Mandrill. We're then going to -2 the Ugin. This leaves us with an Ugin with the highest possible loyalty, so that we can actually gain the 7 life and get ourselves out of top deck bolt range. I think this is going to goldfish faster than stealing my opponent's Tarmogoyf. So now I would like to get a creature in play so that I can Swords the Plowshare my own creature. Let's take a card. Nice. Nice. So we're taking Narset there to try and shut off cantrips, in case that wasn't clear. That's unfortunate. So instead of doing my whole Ugin plus thing I did to play around cantrips, I could have held the Arena Rector in play and targeted with Swords of Plowshares to gain 1 life in response to shut off that line. But there's more cantrips than there are Ren and 6. So I don't regret the line that I took. Yeah, so Jace Fate Seal there is fine. But I think Narset blanking, like, their Brainstorms, Ponders, and potentially any other, like, flex cantrips that they have, I think that's more powerful. I think. That's definitely not clear-cut. The tail end of that match was not clear-cut. So, like, I chose to attack cantrips heavily rather than going and attacking, like, say, mana. Or rather than, like, leaving out, or leaving up and out to Ren and 6 and making it just lightning bolts that were an out. Like, there's a lot of ways to go and play through that game. Yeah, so playing the Narset probably blanks 7 to 9 cards that can dig towards the outs rather than stopping an out directly. All right, so for the Blind Cabal Therapy, opponent was last seen playing Ant. I am just going to name Brainstorm, though. It's a card that's in their deck, plus so many other decks if they're not playing Ant. Ugh, excuse me. Well, their Thought Seizes are going to be pretty good. I guess we'll preordain now. Nicol Bolas. You can go to the bottom. I'll be back for you later. And same with you, Flooded Strand. Yeah, I am A-okay with Swords to Plowsharing that on site. And honestly, like, there's a possibility I should have just kept the Flooded Strand to Swords of Plowshares that anyway, since my opponent already showed me the Thespian stage. But, like, since I knew my opponent was going to Thought Seize me, I was kind of just trying to get towards more gas. Like, I need something that matters. I should have played my Swamp since my opponent saw that with the Discard Spell. Small misplay. Definitely feeling a little clunky right now. I think Force of Will and Ugin are going back here. Well, actually, second land is very bad as well. Let's keep the Force and junk one of our lands. I don't want either of this. Well, you're good next turn. We'll see if we make it to a next turn. So we could have kept the Preordain instead of casting it to, like, play to an out to this situation, but I think I have to play towards my opponent not having it and trying to actually win the game. Because I have no pressure on them, and they're going to get to, like, try again and again and again. Alright. Yeah, like, on the next turn, if I get an Ugin -1, that's just, like, so crazy good. Alright. Purge, I like. Flusterstorm, I like. This is probably fine, too. Just to blow up all the 1-drops. And, like, then we start running into the question of, like, how much do I care about those 1-drops? How deep do I want to go in terms of, like, missing those? I have a whole bunch of ways to, like, bounce or otherwise deal with a Merit Lodge. The achievement is taking opponent's Merit Lodge and killing them with their own Merit Lodge. That'd be cool. It actually feels like a huge percentage of our cards are actually good in this matchup. So I like the Thoughtseizes a little less. And maybe I'll just trim on some cantrips and not bring in the sweepers. They're either, like, mana intensive or at 4 mana. And at 4 mana, like, we have the Rectors, the Jaces, or, like, these other 3 mana spells to be playing as well. So I think I like this. This is unexciting, but fine. It's a little heavier on card disadvantage than I would like. But we're going to get to Ponder, put whatever good card we find on the top of our deck, take 2 of the 3 with Ponder, then shuffle next turn. You put the good card you want on top of your library to play around discard from the other side. Hello! Yeah, I think this is fine. So this Snapcaster Mage and the Jace as well are really now just Force of Will fodder. So I know I have another land on top of my library. Do I just want that other land to guarantee that I can turn 4 Arena Rector? Probably. but I'm going to play Flooded Strand so that I can change my mind. Also, We have a plan. We're just now hoping to dodge the discard spell for this turn. In which case, we're good to go. I suppose we also just need to worry about them just having a Dark Depths in hand. F. Oh. Rector costs 4 mana, not 3. And you only get this, the double mana, if you sacrifice a creature. See if we get Not of This Worlded as the last card. Nope. Ha, Duress. Wrong discard spell. It's really a shame that we couldn't just, like, leave that volcanic island on top, draw that land, then, like, play Rector and immediately go. Getting Bolas this turn is pretty stupid good. Technically, I should have attacked there, I guess. Arkin, thank you very much for your support. Very much appreciated. Everyone who's just turning in from Arkin's stream, hello. Welcome to Nickel Bolas time with Phil Gallagher. We are currently playing against Dark Depths. We are playing with a Monastery Mentor Arena Rector hybrid deck. The goal is to sacrifice Arena Rector to our Cabal Therapies so that we can put Nickel Bolas or Ugin into play. I do not like this hand. 5 lands, no cantrips, and 2 spells that are a little bit too situational for me. This one's going to be a mulligan. This hand is unexciting and a little weak to discard, but I think this is going to be better than the average 5. The goal here is going to be dump this Monastery Mentor in play and hope that I can aggro my opponent out. Will I brainstorm in an attempt to find both Force of Will and a blue card here? No. I would rather brainstorm on my turn and try to find a Swords to Plowshares. In which case I'll have to fetch another Tundra, unfortunately. We would have found the Force of Will and the blue card. Unfortunate. We're now quite land heavy. We're going to need to get rid of some of those. Plan is play Mentor with Force backup next turn. So I think we end up junking this, fetch them away. My opponent has Urborg, so I don't actually need to fetch for black to cast this Cabal Therapy. So we will get an actual tri-land. Elvish Reclaimer, Depths, Safekeeper. Opponent's hand is very good in that they can just totally dodge this Force of Will that I was banking on. What is Force of Vigor for? Did I show them an artifact or enchantment? Or are they just, like, assuming that I'm going to have something like Rest in Peace or Pithing Needle that they care about? Need to find Swords to Plowshares or equivalent, or effectively be dead. Fine with putting that on the bottom, putting that on the top, drawing the Purge. We'll pass the turn. We'll see if opponent goes for it. They do not go for it. I do not like that. I think I need to force pitch my Jace, hope they attack in with the Bob, block the Bob with Snapcaster, keep Purge around for Merit Lodge. If they don't attack with the Bob, I probably Purge the Bob, bank on drawing a land so that I can Snapcaster Purge the Merit Lodge. Yeah, that's fine. Please attack with Bob. Thank you. I needed something to go right that turn. I would love this Snapcaster body. I'd love to Cabal Therapy away both of those Elvish Reclaimers. But I'm not really in the position where I can realistically do so. Also, I think I need to bluff here. And bluff that my card is Swords to Plowshares, rather than hold up the Celestial Purge. I just don't think I win if I just, purge this when they still have, 4 relatively good cards in hand. I regret nothing. That game just does not get better for us if we sit there. I have the ability to not die if I just leave up a bunch of mana. But then my opponent can just continue to attack me with the Hex Mage and then the 2 Elvish Reclaimers. So I think I need to leverage my board position a little bit. There's a difference between playing to lose... Sorry, there's a difference between playing to win and playing to not lose. And I chose to play to win. We're going to ponder, probably looking... Ooh, how do I feel about that? Not knowing what my opponent is on. So... my opponent is on a creature-based deck. Keeping, Snapcaster and Swords is very, very strong. I think I am going to go ahead and keep this. So I think I'm going to go Snapcaster, Swords, Snapcaster, not Shuffle. And hope my opponent is playing something fair. I'm just going to play a land and pass the turn here. I don't think I want to like brainstorm and try to look for like Cabal Therapy or Thoughtseize yet. I think I'm probably going to end up doing this on my opponent's turn. Just like brainstorm after I get a touch more information and then kind of sculpt my next turn. Drawing a 3-drop Planeswalker, a Cabal Therapy, a Monastery Mentor. Those are the sort of things that I'm Arid Mesa. Interesting. Maybe like the blue-white-red Stoneblade Mentor deck. This is a donation deck list. So I have goodies here. I don't think I want my Rector right now. I think I'd rather like redraw that later in the game. It doesn't tend to be as good against white decks, which I'm assuming that's what the Arid Mesa indicates. So I think I'm going to go ahead and pitch my Rector. And I suppose my Snapcaster Mage. I would be up for Manaless Dredge. I haven't played that in a long time. You would like to force pitching a Snapcaster Mage. That's funny, because I would like to do the same thing. Seems kind of like if you have the Swords of Plowshares, you just let it resolve. And if I get a Monk, it's not the end of the world. That's rough since I opted to keep the Ponder over the Snapcaster Mage. A Force of Negation. Well, I guess that's acceptable. I either get the Force of Negation or cause you to cast it. Plains, Ponder, Spell Snare left. I don't think we're in a desperation mode of just like cast the Ponder, look at the top couple cards of the library yet. Although it's possible I should have done that, like to try and set up something ASAP. Yeah, Narset is totally fine in Legacy. They just printed more powerful things than Narset. By a lot. Which is saying something because of how good that card was in the first place. Like getting Narset, Karn, Arcanist, Renin 6, Plague Engineer, all in that short window. It did crazy, crazy things to Legacy. Narset's even crazier in Vintage, though, because in addition to the cantrips, you're also shutting off things like Paradoxical Outcome. Well, I know you have Snare, and you played the Plains. It's not like I'm not going to jam this. Yeah, the last year to year and a half has really been an insane period for Legacy. Boo, they found a force. It's been a super interesting period for Legacy. In that, like, if you're a brewer and a tinkerer, you've had a lot of room to get ahead by making good decisions for, like, what you play on any given weekend. Sure, you get a Stoneforge. I'm hoping you get not Batterskull. You got Batterskull. Alright, I'm okay in the short term. My opponent will... I really hope they don't draw a land. Because if they don't draw a land, they tap out for Batterskull. I end of turn, Snapcaster, Source of Plowshares, the Germ token. And then I get to kill Narset. Is that last card Force of Will? It's a Brainstorm. He's one of those top 3 cards Force of Will. Force of Vigor is absolutely insane. For the archetypes that it goes in, it's one of the best cards that they've seen in years. The ability to, like, answer Blood Moon and Chalice simultaneously is absolutely nuts. I guess it's pretty likely that the cards I know about are now on top of the library. I mean, you can't have it all. Like, we're cheating Nicol Bolas into play. We have to assume that some awkwardness is absolutely acceptable. Let's play the game, shall we? Alright. We couldn't have won the game no matter what there. Brainstorm, Flooded Strand, and Jace remain. So then they'll redraw one of Batterskull or Spell Snare. That is a very expensive Brainstorm, friend. You have a regular Brainstorm in your hand. So that's somewhat telling. That probably means that they don't have something like a council's judgment that can just like directly answer the nickel Bolas. Otherwise, they would have regular brainstormed and left themselves with that as an out. There are a lot of things on the other side of the table that are non-creature permanents that will just die to nickel Bolas plus. It's quite convenient. Sure. You can use a card to spell pierce my Jace. I literally do not care. I have big sexy dragon in play. It ruins all of the fun and gives it to me. Yep, that's to be accepted. We got an 8-mana Planeswalker into play against a fair blue deck. Like, no surprises there. So, Disenchant seems good. Supreme Verdict seems good. Cavernous Souls probably okay. Null Rod seems good. EE questionable if we also board Null Rod, but I'm going to put them both into this pile. Like, we have a big pile of things that I would consider. I know, opponent didn't let us ultimate Bolas. They're a bully. I think we probably don't want the 2-for-1 cards that are not in our favor. Like, realistically, we're probably going to win most of our games via, like, playing a fairish game. Like, the combo element with Arena Rector is harder against the Swords to Plowshares decks. We can do it, but it requires... Like, we're not going to trade in combat for this Arena Rector. I mean, we have 5 basics ourselves if we have the luxury of being able to actually fetch them. So, EE versus Null Rod is kind of interesting, because EE gives us another out to True Name Nemesis, which is a problem card. It also gives us an out to Back to Basics, if that's something that ends up mattering. But I think Null Rod just, like, stopping all equipment is stronger. It's possible I should just board in both and not care. This would still require me to make 3 cuts. I think I'm going to junk an Arena Rector, junk a Preordain, junk a Thoughtseize, and kind of, like, trim things. Flusterstorm is for spells that my opponent casts. Like, my opponent is going to have counter spells. They're going to have things that matter, and I think just going and dealing with some of those is going to be strong. Like, it's just flexibility. Brainstorm's the best card in both of our decks. So, keeping a hand that can deal with, like, Brainstorm, get me out of my bad situation is totally fine. Alright. We're not beating a back to basics this game if we have triple non-basic lands already. So we're going to just lean into it accordingly. What do I care about my opponent resolving? I don't really care about Stoneforge since I have, like, Cabal Therapy and Swords. Something like True Name Nemesis would be annoying, but I could just take it next turn. I think I'm just going to take Brainstorm. Force, Jace, Narset. Okay. That's fine. None of those things were on my short list to name. Narset is annoying. Narset is less annoying than Jace, but I think I do need to take the Narset and hope that I can get my opponent to pitch their Jace to Force of Will, or that I can rip another discard spell or a creature to take the Jace. I can't leave them with both walkers. That's bad. My opponent's hand is weak. Oops, I X'd out one too many there. My opponent's hand is kind of slow here. Hopefully I can take advantage of that. So many Scalding turns. Alright. Not the greatest. Please don't just jam the Jace. Good. Any Thought Seeds? That's not bad. It might just get countered, but it's not bad. Force, Jace, Triple Sword. I will take your Jace. Well, super glad opponent didn't jam the Jace. Now if I get the opportunity to like counter a Brainstorm or something with this Flusterstorm, I am so game. Opponent does have hard cast Force of Will. I don't think I want to show Phyrexian Tower yet. Well, there's a possibility I did want to play Phyrexian Tower there. In case I drew like... No, I can't draw Fetch Land plus Cantrip in the same... No, I could do it in the other order. That's a great draw. Now we'll play the Phyrexian Tower out. We are just getting into the territory where if I draw like Ugin or Nicol Bolas, we could actually just look at hard casting it. If I were the opponent, I would straight up have countered that. Nicol Bolas. So with a fetch land, I can just cast that. Just throwing that out there. So I don't think I actually throw back Bolas. I think I keep it. That's weird. Although keeping it does also require me to keep Underground Sea. Maybe Flusterstorm is past the point where it matters. But maybe that's not true if my opponent hardcasts the Force. Alright, I'm going to throw back Bolas. We're not going to hardcast that. I'm gonna be kind of disciplined here. Let's throw back Bolas, Underground Sea. Plan on shuffling off the Ponder. It was there. It was there for me. Does that actually mean I'm supposed? No, no, no. I'm not gonna just hard cast the Bolas. I'm not gonna do it. We're gonna put it back. The Cabal Therapy is kind of hilarious. I do think we just ponder though. And I might just get their whole hand if I Cabal Therapy. Snapcaster? No. Okay. We've got it good next turn. So we name human. I will Cabal Therapy target you. This Cabal Therapy is going to be sweet. Don't brainstorm. Just force a will it. Yes, yes. Oh yeah. Absolutely living the dream. We're getting a 3-for-1 Cabal Therapy. Alright, opponent has a Snapcaster Mage left over. That's A-okay with me. Their Snapcaster, if they draw land, gives them access to Force of Will. Otherwise, it just gives them access to Swords to Plowshares. Brainstorm. Solid magic card. Narset is fine. So I guess I could have Arena Rectored last turn after I Cabal Therapied and the Force of Will was gone, right? Or I guess instead of Cabal Therapying. I was counting mana last turn and thinking I was one short, but the Cabal Therapies were in the yard already. I wonder if I misplayed last turn. What am I gonna get? It could be anything. We're gonna name Nickel Bolas God Pharaoh. They didn't have it. Your opponent. You have something sweet like a Council's Judgment? Because otherwise, Mr. Bolas would like to have a word with your assorted lands. Snapcaster Brainstorm? Sure. Boo! That's so disappointing. And I guess a reason to go for Ugin. What's the score right now? Well, my Nickel Bolas just got Pyroblasted, so I'd say I'm sadder than my opponent. Those were some sick top decks. Should have probably kept that for Brainstorm. That land basically does nothing now that the Nickel Bolas is in play. Or, sorry, in graveyard. Alright, seems like we're getting super punished for going for Bolas over Ugin. What's so difficult to pay for over there? I do still think it's correct to go for the Bolas over the Ugin, because Bolas gives us better outs to a lot of the, a lot of the permanents that my... why did you even play that out if I have the Null Rod? Like, do you just have a disenchant for later? Anyway, I do think it was correct to go for the Bolas. Like, my opponent hadn't showed me Pyroblasts yet. And, like, most of the cards that my opponent plays that I care about are going to be destructible by Bolas. The big exception being True Name Nemesis, but True Name doesn't really check Bolas all that well. Like, I can just keep blowing up their lands while drawing into something else. But this string of, like, Pyroblast into Jace into True Name while I'm getting Fate Sealed is devastating. I basically need to draw Ugin this turn or I die. Like, both to combat damage and to getting decked. But I regret nothing. Alright, it's on top, so I've probably lost. That just means they can counter this Ponder. So I need to Cabal Therapy them for a counter spell before I cast the Ponder. That's tilting. Do I want to change anything about how I'm boarding, given things that I saw? We had sort of a really awkward mid-rangey game there where no one did anything for a long time. My opponent values Swords to Plowshares really highly. It does make my mentors worse. Hey, Min, welcome. Yeah, I totally should have played the fetch out. Agreed. I think I want to play my Force of Negation. Just since it's relatively hard castable. Having one more answer to my opponent's Planeswalkers seems good. Well, we'll keep this Ugin friend in hand here. And probably end up hardcasting at this game if it goes anything like the last one. These cards are great. I'm going to take both. This means that we can realistically tap out on 3 for either Narset or Mentor, and then protect it. Probably Narset, but we'll see. A lot of it is going to depend on whether or not I have something that I Flusterstorm this turn. So right now, Flusterstorm's primary job is going to be Force of Negation bait. I'm somewhat tempted to just pass the turn rather than jam a card here. Like, my 3-drops are so much better if I can defend with both Fluster and Force. The issue is that if my opponent just jams a True Name on 3, I'm cold to it. But my opponent didn't just jam last game. They were very patient. I think I'm willing to wait a turn. That play means that if I want to Force of Negation something, I do have to actually use a card to protect. But Brainstorm's really good. How do I feel about that Ponder? Am I just going the anti-cantrip route this game? And then just jam Mentor into Narset in some order, keeping the Force of Negation around for later if things go wrong? I think I'm okay with that. This is not how I was intending to play this out. I think it's what's happening. There are also worlds where we just, like, stick our opponents on land by, like, countering Brainstorm into Ponder. That is not this world. Think5, thank you very much for following. As well as... I don't know where the syllable split is there. Ryuji's and my angel? Question mark. Thank you very much for following as well. I don't think I have the luxury of playing around back to basics here. Opponent has one non-basic already as well. I think I'm going to slam my mentor this turn, because on my opponent's turn, if they go for something like Jace, I can just Force of Negation. Hey, Eddie. Have fun in Hawaii. I hope you enjoyed the human matches from the Legacy Premier League earlier this week. I certainly did. They might not be the white creatures you're looking for, but they're the white creatures you're getting. That doesn't feel great. Like, I traded my Narset for their Narset, but they got one bonus card in the trade. We have a real clunker of a hand, hoping the opponent doesn't draw a Planeswalker. The creatures, the equipment, we've got those covered, but a Jace coming down is devastating. I'm mana tight, my opponent is mana flooded. By our powers combined, we maybe have a functional legacy deck. I will fire off the Brainstorm. If I were the opponent, I would very, very heavily consider just getting rid of that. So we're going to put back Disenchant Deluge, since they're my most situational cards. And then we'll pass the turn. We'll have Snapcaster Flusterstorm or Snapcaster Brainstorm on my opponent's turn. I don't think Snapcaster Flusterstorm is really going to do a ton. My opponent is very mana heavy. Well, that's what we're afraid of. I can Snapcaster Brainstorm in response to this and try to find Force of Wills, which are in my sideboard. Yes, those are in my sideboard. So I can't get anything that beats the Jace in response. Why did I keep the Ugin in hand? Because this game is going so slowly that I might hardcast it later, and I think keeping the Ugin around is better than keeping one of these situational Disenchants or Toxic Deluge, and I'm probably going to have to redraw them anyway. No, I don't think I can Force of Negation using the pitch cost with Snapcaster Mage, because that's using 2 alternate costs. So this Brainstorm hopefully finds me a fetch land so I can shuffle away some of this junk. Yikes. So Bolas is going back. And I guess disenchant. Like, I'm totally serious when I say I think we might get to the point where we hardcast this, even though we're stuck on mana right now. I think I'm going to send back Bolas, disenchant, ponder to shuffle. Cabal Therapy is interesting, though. I have Toxic Deluge as a way to kill my Rector, though. If that becomes something that I need to do. Well, that's definitely a better world. So I need to Cabal Therapy something this turn to try to make Arena Rector work next turn. Force of Will is one of the big things that can stop me. Force of Negation and Surgical Extraction. So, opponent playing the land means I know everything that's going on over there. I can potentially kill the Jace. I don't necessarily know that that's going to happen, though. We're doing a weird dance here. Surgical Extraction on Cabal Therapy. I am okay with that. I think if that's something you were planning on doing, though, you should probably do it at the start of your turn to gain the most information about what to do with your Jace Brainstorm. Alright, so let's start here. Let's see if we can kill the Jace. Oh wow, we can. This Arena Rector very easily could just hit a Swords of Plowshares at any point this game. But Deluge represents a Nicol Bolas immediately. Will you Force of Negation this? I would too. A second Force of Negation in the shadow of the first. Such an advanced technique. Alright, Narset will give you a card. But then I have 3 power on board to kill it. A Brainstorm. Fire that off. So what's super awkward about the situation is that if my opponent finds a blocker, they can really block only Snapcaster Mage, because Arena Rector, like, going and hitting play is pretty devastating. Now I guess they're hoping to hit Pyroblast for Snapcaster Mage. That's kind of like the whammy draw. That's super frustrating. That's super frustrating. I do nothing a lot. It's going to be Peter Vanderham, PVDH on Twitter. We haven't set up the exact time, but I've contacted him about doing that. I think he's at a GP this weekend. So it'll probably be sometime in about the next 3 weeks. We haven't confirmed the deck, but it'll probably be something fun. Probably one of his brews. These draws from my opponent have been absolutely insane in this last turn cycle. Like, rip Narset into Minus, into Brainstorm, into Jace Brainstorm, into, like, the one spell with, like, the mana available that could have, like, made it so I wouldn't have continued taking over this game. That is frustrating. We have also drawn the wrong side of our answer suite here. How many of my opponent's counterspells have they used? Yeah, true name is fine. I've got that covered. I'll even probably take a handful of hits from it. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna, like, let that true name sit there for a couple of turns and see if I can get a little extra value out of this Supreme Verdict. It's only punishing if they draw Sword of Fire and Ice, and then, like, get a card by having the true name in play. Otherwise, I think using my life total as a resource right now is totally fine. I could possibly have waited a little longer on that, but it seems that with double Swords to Plowshares in hand, I've gotta take some actions to potentially set up this Ugin. It's possible I should have waited till I was on 7 mana and then cast that. Not that I'm super expecting the Ugin to resolve anyway. Where's this at? This is at 9. I think I will cast this and try to set up a draw. How good is this? This does not bounce Planeswalkers. I can just draw a land and hope that's good enough. But if my opponent sees land 2 turns in a row, they might think that I have Ugin. Also, I don't know that like this is actually just going to hard resolve. I'm going to shuffle this. Let's try to find something stronger. I'm also pretty likely to get land from my opponent anyway. Off of Jace Fate Seals. Okay. Does that mean I have no outs now? Because I don't have any Council's Judgments? I don't have a Cabal Therapy in Graveyard. Alright. We're done here. So fundamental flaws that I'm seeing with this deck list already. Number one, I have like no way of dealing with opposing Planeswalkers. I don't have Council's Judgment, I don't have Pithing Needle, I don't have things like Vendilion Click that can actively pressure my opponent. So that's flaw number one I'm seeing. Flaw number two I'm seeing, I don't actually have enough finishers. A lot of times I'm getting to a mid-rangey amount of mana, but I only have a handful of cards that I'm actually looking for. And a lot of times even the Jaces aren't good enough because I can't necessarily defend them. Like, I don't have bodies to block most of the time. I feel like I need more mentors in here. Or, like, maybe some more Planeswalkers that can control the board at this mana cost. Drawing these has also been a touch rough. But, you know, that's to be expected if you're trying to cheat fatties into play. You can't have it all. So I really feel like I need some main deck or sideboard ways of pressuring opposing walkers. That's been absolutely brutal here. No, I can cast it. I have a Volcanic Island. So, like, that is a possibility. We almost did it in a previous game. My opponent's Pyroblasts also were very brutal. I essentially lost both games to Pyroblast. Like, first, Pyroblast on my Nicol Bolas that I got rather than Ugin, and then Pyroblast as the, I don't know, maybe 2 of, question mark, out to my board after they tapped the way that they did. Yeah, the deck's feeling very clunky. Also not going to claim that I'm playing perfectly. Like, I've admitted to many, many mistakes, usually micro mistakes, but things that definitely matter in terms of, like, sequencing or which land to fetch and things of that nature. We have kind of a medium hand. I think my opponent plays Delver. Feels like Delver. Smells like Delver. I think I'm going to try to get basic lands this game. Yeah, I will absolutely take Cabal Therapy on days here. Done and done. We are going to look so much like a Storm deck for these first couple of turns. And then our opponent's going to be like, wait, what? So I think I'm going to play Cabal Therapy without playing a land. Ooh, hit Force of Will and gained a lot of valuable information. So opponent has Stifle, Wasteland, Delta, Snare. All right, how do I want to navigate this? I'm definitely playing that out. If I fetch, they stifle me. I could force the stifle, but that's a lot of work. I think I'm going to pass the turn and see if I can put them into a situation where they wasteland my Delta. I'll fetch, they stifle, I'll force. They're not going for that. Would love to draw a land. A Ponder. I really need to fetch. I need to keep doing things with my mana before this Delver flips. I'm not super happy about that fact. I'm going to do a little pump fake so much. We're going to tap this like I'm going to start off on some Dark Ritual. Then I'm going to think better of it. Ugh. Like, we chose to play around Wasteland, and now this Stifle's backbreaking. Let's hemorrhage some cards, shall we? I think I'm going to Ponder first. It's actually pretty close, though. Phyrexian Tower, not great in the face of... Actually, this sequence of cards is super unfortunate, because I would love the Swords of Plowshares to answer Delver. I would love a Phyrexian Tower to answer Arena Rector. Or sorry, to put Arena Rector into my graveyard. But sort of awkwardly, the cards together don't really do a lot. I think I'm just looking to get more mana and play out cards. And that really means that I need fetch lands. The basics here definitely choking me, even though it's playing around the opposing wasteland. All right, super happy to see that. Oh right, I do have therapy for that a little bit later on. You're right. You're right. You're right. Mentor's no good right now. Underground Sea is not white mana. So let's bottom both of those. Still need that white mana. Note, I will definitely accept a non-basic white source to just like try and cast one of these cards. My opponent only has one unknown right now. Delver's being very cooperative over there. Like, I really appreciate the Delver. Alright. Here's our window for big and scary. Oh man, we have such a good window for big and scary. Give me a white source. Give me a white source off the top. That is not great. If my opponent draws a lightning bolt, I could just die. Got it. Not the greatest use of a Cabal Therapy. Spell Pierce. Spell Pierce is fine. This is our last turn to draw a white source, though. Yes, I will exile that. Yes, I will find Ugin. Yes, I will name Spell Pierce. Got it. The good news is, Lightning Bolt kills Ugin, but it would also kill me. Nice. Nice. I don't know if this is going to resolve. Yeah. All right, opponent. What do you got for me? A Renin 6. I guess you can, like, minus ping me down to 1, and then Ugin can kill the Renin 6. Or you can just take your Wasteland back. Robbot, thank you very much for your continued support. I hope all is well. I've settled into my new teaching job nicely. Alright, opponent has Renin 6 and Lightning Bolts as outs. I can't fetch a white source for my Swords to Plowshares or Teferi. Boo! So this has happened multiple times where, like, I've stuck the big game-ending threat, and it's actually just not enough because I'm taking so much damage in the early game. Alright. Things that can answer creatures seem good. Things that don't 2-for-1 me also seem fine. Like, I don't really know that I want to be on the Force of Will plan against Delver. Thoughtseize hurting my own life total is also pretty rough, though. Like, maybe let's not do that, and let's bring in the cavern. We've lost a couple of times with Ugin in play. I think the overall clunk of this shell is not worth the payoff here. I think we're probably not leaning far enough in any one direction to be an effective deck. What does this hand actually do? This hand hopes to brainstorm some of this clunk away into something reasonable. Supreme Verdict is an incredibly powerful card in this matchup. This is a super reluctant keep. I'm not happy about this hand. But I think if I just, like, live in utter fear, I'll end up mulliganing down too far. You know, this Brainstorm can find so many things to make the hand good. Whether that's Source of Plowshares, more land, a mentor. Like, plenty of things can go right with this hand. Alright, Nickel Bolas, you get back in the deck. That one's easy. The second one here is a touch trickier. It's not a land, I want those. It's maybe the Snapcaster Mage. Let's take a Swamp and Cabal Therapy. So what am I afraid of my opponent having right now? Probably Wrenn 6. The creature-based stuff I can deal with via Supreme Verdict in a couple of turns. I think I either name Wrenn 6 or I name just like a card like Brainstorm or Force of Will that might disrupt my follow-up stuff. I think I'm going to name the Planeswalker. That's a no. It's okay. We'll hope to get a 2-for-1 of like Tarmogoyf plus Delver of Secrets in 2 turns. That may not happen this turn since my opponent has chosen to Brainstorm, though. They could have just, like, slammed the Goyf onto the board. They are not doing that. I guess they're just setting the Delver up to flip via Brainstorm. Do I want to Brainstorm again? I kind of just want to Therapy them. I'm totally fine doing it before playing a land, because if I trade it for a Spell Pierce, that means I'm still just trading for a card 100%. Winter Orb. Alright. So we're left with Goyf, Bolt, Ponder, Stifle, Winter Orb as 5. The Winter Orb is pretty good against me. I also can't, like, Flusterstorm that. Can I afford to No, I think I just need to play a land and pass the turn. And just try to, like, effectively play around Winter Orb. The Delver will probably flip, and then my opponent will fetch whatever it is away. Nope. A Spell Snare, that's fine. Game's really not going the way that I want to go in terms of this Supreme Verdict. I want to go ahead and brainstorm, try to find like a Swords to Plowshares here. His opponent has Stifle available, which means that both this Flooded Strand and this Arena Rector are awkward. So I'm going to need to fetch and fluster the fetch on my turn. Or not fluster the fetch, fluster the Stifle on my turn, which means I can't actually play anything. I will have triple basic land, so I can deluge the following turn. So I fetch. You Stifle. I fluster. So now the hope is that my opponent goes and plays out this Tarmogoyf, adds another creature to the board, I deluge it away, and then try to take over the game with Rector. But opponent has just, like, absolutely refused to play another creature. Okay, there we go. Ugh. Alright, so we're just dead to the Delver flipping plus Lightning Bolt. Yep. Yeah, I think this shell is just far too clunky to be viable. The primary plan has often ended up not being strong enough, and we're not leaning hard enough into a secondary plan. Like, I don't think we've ever made more than one monk token. So I feel like if we want there to be a secondary plan, there needs to be more stuff here to support it, and I need more things that I can just jam. I also don't know if we're supposed to be playing so many, like, middling planeswalkers to help bridge us to the late game if they aren't strong enough to win the games on their own. All that being said, these games are fun. Like, I am enjoying it. The games are interesting. But I haven't felt like we've necessarily been on the stronger side of the deck equation in any of our rounds. So, like, so many of our opening hands have kind of looked like this, right? Like, where we just have, like, a mashup of very disparate ideas. Like, we have some things that make us want to be controlling, some things that make us want to be combo that we really don't want to draw, and then our alternative finisher plan. But by the time we get to this alternative finisher plan, like, some of these cards are already exhausted. Your brainstorm is fine. Sorry, there's a little bit of a pause there. It's just kind of like making sure I didn't just like skip over my turn or something silly like that. I think there was just more stops than I expected set. Blue Red Delver. Sneak and show. Choose to shuffle. I don't have like a scrub land, right? No, I don't. So I'd have to make a choice about whether I get white or black with this. All right, so I think I'm going to brainstorm, see if I draw another fetch. I do draw another fetch. All right, Nickel Bolas, you get back in the deck. And one land, you get back in the deck. How deep are we going? Am I just going to like snap name show and tell here? Or am I just going to like name something reasonable? I think I'm going to name Force of Will. Oh, good God, I should have named show and tell. All right, we'll get that next turn. You know, I almost want to just Force of Will this Ponder, because then I can Cabal Therapy away triple show and tell. I don't really want to give my... well... Like, I know exactly the contents of my opponent's hand. Well, see, the thing is, if I let them resolve this Ponder, I'm letting them gain more information about their future turns, even if I end up, like, forcing whatever card it is. But maybe, like, if they get a creature here, I don't care about that because I'm taking triple show and tell. All right, I guess I can let it resolve. All right, there's a shuffle. So they have one random card. The force of will pitching a show and tell. Alright, they are left with City of Traders as their final card in hand. Do I want to brainstorm now? I guess if I hit like a ponder or something, I could also ponder this turn. So yes, I think I am fine with that. All right, Nickel Bolas, you go back. Swords to Plowshares, you go back. We'll leave the Swords to Plowshares on top, but we will fetch it away on my opponent's turn. So now they have one show and tell and some number of sneak attacks to try to win the game with. We can close out this game very quickly via Mentor or Jace. So I'm not too worried. I just fetched you away. No, I think I want to play the Mentor first. It's less mana efficient. But I think I'll Goldfish faster with the Mentor. It also unlocks the 2 Cabal therapies that are in my graveyard. And I think those will be quite good. I was scared for a second. Like, did my opponent really find the last one of the show and tells? Like, that would be brutal. Okay, so how do I want to do this turn? I guess let's cast Jace. A Spell Pierce. Sure. Let's name Sneak Attack, since that's the card we're most scared of. It is a Brainstorm. Alright. Your Brainstorm lives to see another day, because it's super awkward to cast a second Cabal Therapy into that. I'll probably have my opponent dead in 2 turns. Lotus Petal into Sneak Attack is pretty hot. Can't Cabal Therapy away the top of the deck. So if their last card from that Brainstorm is a fatty, I am in trouble. So I guess I should try to cast as many spells as possible this turn. Because that helped me, like, A, get my opponent dead, B, put in enough permanents that I can just survive an Emrakul hit. So we can now go Snapcaster. Wait, what? Yeah, I will definitely want to keep Tundra up. I'm going to try to cantrip into a kill. Actually, I might just have a kill. I haven't mathed it out yet. So now I therapy them. All right, so I'm attacking for 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, I just have a kill. We're gonna name Thalia. Ooh, Thalia's Geist Caller. That's a good one. Worried about that as an out. Well, that game was closer than I thought it was going to be, given that, like, we triple named Show and Tell. Okay. Containment Priest. Seems good. Canonist. Seems good. Probably not gonna Cavernous Souls. I don't know how deep we want to go on, like, actually answering their stuff. Like, Supreme Verdict and Toxic Deluge can technically answer the things that they put in, if it's just off a show and tell. I'm also not sure about, like, how deep we want to go on something like Disenchant, because Disenchant can answer, like, Omniscience and Sneak Attack, but the damage is often done when they're put in play. Let's start looking at what I want to take out. I probably don't want Swords to Plowshares. My discard's good, my cantrip's good. I guess Teferi could bounce something they put in off show and tell. I guess that has some utility. I think I'm going to need to trim some cantrips here, just for the sake of time. I don't know how much setup time I'm really going to get. Similarly, I think some of my stuff that's slow is going to need to go. Kind of medium on these disenchants. This is trimming a lot of cantrips. I don't know how much I love that. Some of these situational cards, like Supreme Verdict and Disenchant, are maybe not the best. What does this do to my mana curve if I'm like this? So I essentially have 8 very good turn 1 plays, 3 more very good turn 2 plays. Actually, there's also Celestial Purge to think about. That exiles like Blood Moon, Grizzlebrand, Sneak Attack. Yeah, Anurag. I think I need to take out one more card. Preordain. Yeah, the studio changed, and the overall feel of Season 2 of One Punch Man was very, very different, you know? We'll be mulliganing this hand. This hand does nothing. Like, if this was a black source and I could actually Thoughtseize with it, I think, well... My opponent is mulliganed. I can turn 1 Ponder into, hopefully, Turn 2 Thoughtseize. I have answers to multiple things they can put in. I have another piece of interaction and tower for my Rector. You know what? I am going to keep this. Alright, so spoiler-free way of talking about One Punch Man Season 1 versus Season 2. Season 1 was presented largely as a parody of traditional shonen. And it was like very intellectually engaging. It was very clear how and why they were messing around with the tropes. And then it felt like Season 2 fell into the traps of traditional shonen rather than continued to parody them. None of those are lands. The Force of Will is fine, but I don't think I can take multiple of these cards and actually win the game. Perfect. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Note that with Arena Rector in our hand and Phyrexian Tower, it's very possible that we can just beat a Show and Tell. Alright, Defense Grid. Cool. That's another reason to have Disenchant, I guess. No, we mentored them last game, so they didn't see Rector. So I think I'm going to want to Brainstorm now, then Thoughtseize them. They're operating on relatively few resources. These are some awesome, awesome cards. I'm almost sad that I have to shuffle some away. This is slightly awkward because in order to keep the Force of Will and make it good, I also have to keep Disenchant and potentially also a blue card. So what's my plan for the next couple of turn cycles? This turn is Thoughtseize, next turn is Cabal Therapy and Containment Priest. The turn after is when I could get into, like, Disenchant plus Force of Will territory. So I may just be too far away from the Force of Will to actually want to keep that. Ooh, that is true. I can't Priest and Therapy in the same turn. I have a lot of very situational cards. This is tough. I also can't, like, Disenchant plus Thoughtseize without a top deck. I think I'm going to get rid of my Force of Will and one of my situational answers. I think I'm going to get rid of Purge. A Kingdom for a Scrubland. We're going to take out the Brainstorm, and I'll take the Emrakul with Cabal Therapy the next turn. Please don't have Show and Tell on the top of the deck. Good. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. are left with Force of Will. That is totally fine and good. That'll get a Tundra, and I think I'm just going to put the Priest into play. We'll deal with this defense grid eventually, but we can just deal with it via Academy Rector. Or sorry, Arena Rector. So this did not get the Force of Will. Oh, I guess Force of Will defense grid. Slightly rough. Do I want to walk into this getting potentially blasted? Alright, my opponent's not even going to give me the chance to think about that. We're just done here. Okay, this deck was awkward. It was fun, but very rarely did we execute a game plan effectively. We kind of ended up floundering around in the mid-game a lot of time, not quite able to piece together something. And even when we put these walkers into play, we still lost a couple of games, which shouldn't happen if that's like the big payoff thing for your deck. If I were to play something like this again, I'd probably take out a whole bunch of like this sort of stuff, like maybe take out a Snapcaster and just like play more mentors, play more things that actually have a chance of taking over the game on their own. Like, when we had the mentor package in like game 1 of versus show and tell in this last round here, and we just went like mentor, string together a whole bunch of cantrips, win the game, that was really powerful. But we only did that once because we only have 2 of these mentors. We also don't have things that are baiting out removal spells like Lightning Bolt from Mentor or Swords of Plowshares for Arena Rector. So if we just kind of like jam these and pass the turn, they weren't super effective a whole bunch of the time. More generally, I don't know that the Mentor decks are all that good right now. I've played against the blue-white-red Mentor deck that jams just like infinite 3-drop threats from Teferi to Narset to Blood Moon to Mentor. I played against that a couple of times, and that deck just has not felt good to me. It kind of has the same problem that this deck does, where like you have 1-drops and then you have expensive cards, but you don't have good things to bridge the early turns. So I don't know how viable this strategy is as a whole. Ryan C., thank you very much for the donation for this deck list, though. I hope, even though I got bullied here, that the matches were amusing. So my plan now is to stream again on Monday night with an Urza Stompy deck. Was planning on playing that last Monday, but then I'm going to have to borrow some bonus cards to go and make that work. I hope you all have enjoyed today. If you're enjoying Legacy content, please follow my channel. And also consider following It's Julian. Every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, we're doing the Legacy Premier League, and the content there has been absolutely amazing. I'm going to turn you over to Yama Killer now, who is playing some assortment of modern, Legacy, and Vintage. Hope you enjoyed this morning, folks, and have a great rest of the day. Good luck to those of you who are playing in a major Legacy event today or tomorrow.